A blogger came across a puzzling case that was sweeping the internet, one that's been described as the web's foremost mystery. It involved a YouTube channel that had been rapidly uploading strange videos, and while no one could seem to figure out its purpose, this blogger became determined to get to the bottom of it. This is Oddstrosity. Let's reset what's expected. On March 7th, 2013, the YouTube channel Webdriver Torso was started. It wouldn't publicly release any content until September 23, 2013, when it published a video titled Aqua. This 10-second video consists of 9 still frames, each one displaying a red rectangle and a blue rectangle of varying sizes. The audio is solely made up of a series of sustained beeps playing in succession. In the corner, it says aqua.flv slide 0000, and each time the frame changes, the number goes up. Aside from this number ascending in numerical order, the elements of this video seem to be totally random, lacking any discernible pattern. Webdriver Torso then rapidly published more and more uploads that followed this same formula, with the rectangles in all sorts of arrangements and sizes, and the video's length only varying slightly. In the week following its debut video alone, this channel released over 300 videos. It wasn't until October 1st, 2013, after 400 plus uploads, that the videos finally started to be titled something other than Aqua, though they seemed to be nonsensical jumbles following the characters TMP. The channel then continued publishing thousands of videos that for the most part were similar to this. Webdriver Torso's numerous and repetitive output reminds me of a later YouTube channel called The Chicken Code, which I covered in a different video. Webdriver Torso definitely has more of a legacy to it though, and has its own unique story. In February 2014, Nicholas Tufnell wrote a piece for Wired magazine about exploring YouTube uploads that were mostly unknown and ignored, and one of the featured videos was from Webdriver Torso, at that point nearly a year old. From here, interest in this cryptic channel snowballed, and soon people all over the internet were talking about it. Back then, the channel hosted around 77,000 videos of these random rectangles and beeps, and everyone was wondering what it could all mean. As baffling as that was, what made things even more intriguing were the few moments that the channel strayed from its formula. A 5-second video titled 00014 shows an illuminated Eiffel Tower against the night sky, before the camera drops and briefly shows a blurry laptop screen. Not only does this video finally break away from the repetitive rectangle format, but underneath it was the first and only comment made by Webdriver Torso, writing, "Matei is highly intelligent," which was later deleted. Another unusual video was titled 0.4554423733793 and was taken from the Adult Swim cartoon Aqua Teen Hunger Force. This was actually Webdriver Torso's earliest upload, published August 14th, 2013, predating the first rectangle video, but it initially went unnoticed because it was hidden behind a €199 paywall and only available for viewers in France. I couldn't access the original video and was only able to watch it through re-uploads, though it's difficult to verify if these are the same as Webdriver Torso's video or just a recreation. This version here is made up of clips taken from the Spanish dub of Aqua Teen Hunger Force Season 2 Episode 10, Super Trivia. People have also said that the restricted video was dubbed in French though, so I'm not sure if these accounts are mistaken or what exactly the situation is. Regardless of the details, we know that Webdriver Torso had an Aqua Teen upload. Internet sleuths were trying to connect the dots to uncover the origin and purpose behind any of this content. As curiosity grew, one individual became particularly intrigued. This was Paolo B, a blogger living in Belgium who went by the handle Soggetto Ventuno, Italian for Subject 21. On his blog, he covered a variety of topics that often involved his interest in statistics and science, his writing blending humor with a scholarly tone. Then one day, a friend introduced Paolo to Webdriver Torso, and he was immediately hooked. Normally, I do not spend my free time solving puzzles and mysteries, Paolo described, but he added that, I am a very curious person, and when I decide that I want to dig into something I consider interesting, my curiosity is unstoppable. He was determined to solve this YouTube mystery. Online detectives analyzed Webdriver Torso's videos, trying to find any clues as to what it could all mean. This channel generated a lot of the same theories that I mentioned in my chicken code video, such as it being automated software running rampant, part of an ARG, or some sort of encoded message delivery platform like a numbers station. Another common theory was that it was all part of some viral marketing stunt. Looking for clues, people took note that hundreds of videos were titled Aqua, and then one samples a cartoon with Aqua in its title. Also, there was a French landmark, a video exclusive to France that features a French fry character, and then the rest of the uploads were the colors of the French flag. Were these themes intentional or just coincidental? Did any of this mean anything? In his April 2014 article for the Daily Dot, Brendan O'Connor attempted to solve the mystery behind these bizarre videos. He had a colleague deduce the pitch of each beep, wondering if the notes being played would show any significant pattern, but this was a dead end. O'Connor then learned about a programming interface with a somewhat similar name called Selenium WebDriver, which is able to perform automated interactions across web browsers. This definitely sounded like it could be the Webdriver Torso culprit, so O'Connor contacted the people behind Selenium. He heard back from Patrick Lightbody, who had been involved with Selenium for years, but he explained that they had nothing to do with Webdriver Torso. In his response, he wrote, "Those videos look like they are trying to make contact with aliens." Regardless of Lightbody's intention when he wrote that, people ran with the exciting angle that aliens could be involved. The BBC later botched what Lightbody had said, claiming that a member of the Selenium WebDriver development team, however, denied it had anything to do with the clips, telling news site The Daily Dot that they could well be extraterrestrial uploads from aliens. Lightbody never said the videos may be alien in origin. He only said that the videos looked like they were trying to contact aliens, and for all we know, this may have just been an illustrative way to say that the patterns seemed aimlessly erratic, or even just a joke altogether. Still, aliens offered an exciting explanation. While some people were looking to the skies for answers, one person thought Webdriver Torso's videos looked familiar, and much closer to home. Software engineer Isal Vargas had been to a tech conference the previous year in 2013, where he saw a British company called YouView using short videos to test the speed and dependability of digital video uploading. He believed these demo videos were the same as the uploads on Webdriver Torso. For a moment, it appeared that the mystery had been solved, and on May 1st, The Guardian even reacted to Vargas's theory by announcing, "So there's the answer." The thing is, Vargas would soon realize that he had mixed things up, stating, "I found the video, and when I rewatched it, I found that wasn't the case. It had a different test pattern." It seemed everybody was hitting dead ends, but Paolo was eager to solve this mystery. For 6 days, he watched video after video after video, analyzing every detail in hopes of finding clues. He tried using software to scan the videos for any hidden messages. He tried watching the videos while wearing 3D glasses, anything he could think of, but to no avail. Reflecting on this exhausting 6-day experience, he wrote, "You can't understand the isolation from the world Webdriver Torso has caused me." Without finding any leads, he was just about ready to throw in the towel, but first he wanted to document his efforts in a blog post, hoping maybe somebody else could branch off of his work or see something that he had missed. As Paolo was drafting this post, though, he happened to come across Channel Graphs, a website that allowed people to examine YouTube data that would otherwise typically be hidden from public sight. This unlocked exciting new information, like for example, he discovered that Webdriver Torso was registered in Switzerland, which could hopefully help pinpoint his target. Everything then started coming together, and soon Paolo was no longer writing a defeated post on his blog, but a victorious one. He would soon declare, "I know the identity of Webdriver Torso." As Paolo started examining the data compiled by the Channel Graph site, he discovered that Webdriver Torso was part of a YouTube network called YT Upload Test Partner Torso. 3 other channels were part of this network as well: Webdriver YPP, Webdriver IVPE, and Yekaterina Basic. These channels were created the same day as Webdriver Torso, so it's easy to distinguish them from the copycat channels that would emerge later. Combined, these 3 channels had tens of thousands of additional videos that for the most part followed the same familiar formula. YPP has a few unique videos though, like one that has the words "Jim knows about the glass" in the top left corner, and a 2-second video featuring a pair of circles. Paolo noticed that the YT Upload Test Partner Torso network was also connected to a number of Google Plus accounts. All of these profiles were full of strange short videos according to Paolo. Several of these accounts posted different webcam recordings from inside an office environment. These videos were in the same room and featured the same person, but Paolo didn't know who they were, where this was, or what they were doing. Some of these recordings were also on YT Upload Test Partner Torso's YouTube channel. As interesting as all of this was, he wasn't getting any clear answers from any of these videos, and he wasn't exactly sure what to do next. There just had to be a breakthrough discovery somewhere in one of these channels or accounts. He took a step back and looked at what he knew so far, trying to form a profile of whoever was behind this. He knew Webdriver Torso was registered in Switzerland, and given its broad online presence and number of uploads, he figured it was very plausible that this was the effort of a larger entity, likely a tech company. In the article from The Guardian, where they mistakenly reported that Isal Vargas had solved the mystery, a quote from Vargas shows that he had shared this same thought as well, saying, "Considering the volume of videos and the fact that they use YouTube, it tells me that this is a large company." So Paolo was looking for a big tech company with a presence in Switzerland, and this led him to a suspect that checked all the boxes: Google. They had an office in Zurich, Switzerland, and not only did they of course own Google+, but they even owned YouTube. Paolo was convinced that this was the logical answer. On May 8th, he posted on his blog a write-up titled "The Truth About Webdriver Torso," where he recapped his investigation so far, and announced that he knew the identity behind Webdriver Torso. He declared that it was probably a Swiss software house, but resisted saying exactly who just yet, waiting until his theory could be substantiated. A couple of days later, Paolo noticed that his blog had a spike in visitors from Switzerland, and soon later the videos he had shared in his post were suspiciously made private. Paolo figured that this response must mean that he was on the right track, and luckily he had taken screenshots from the videos before they were hidden. Following his suspicion that Google was behind this, he looked at his screenshots from the office webcam videos and compared them to some online photos that were taken from inside Google Zurich. Lo and behold, he noticed several distinct similarities. The telephones matched, the white desks matched, even the desk lamps were all the same. Those webcam videos must have been from Google Zurich, but what if they had just been randomly shared to these profiles and weren't straight from the source? Paolo needed to find even more evidence. He decided to revisit the Google Plus profiles that were connected to YT Upload Test Partner Torso, and this is when everything really started to come together. After doing some digging, Paolo discovered that the David Boyle account belonged to a YouTube staff member, and his profile was even friends with Ted Hamilton, the product manager for YouTube Analytics out of Google Zurich. This put a direct link between Webdriver Torso and Google, and it didn't stop there. YT Upload Test Partner Torso's Google Plus profile was also connected to a Facebook account called TimmyTester777. A Google Zurich employee named Matej Gruber liked one of Timmy's photos, so that's another link. Gruber was a software engineer for YouTube from 2011 to 2017, and many even believe that he's the person referenced in the "Matei is highly intelligent" comment made by Webdriver Torso, though this has never been verified. There's other plausible candidates too, like Matei Ciocarli for example, who had started working for Google in October 2013. After uncovering these direct ties between Google Zurich and Webdriver Torso, Paolo felt he had at last assembled enough evidence, so on May 11, 2014, he updated his original post and announced his verdict. He believed that Webdriver Torso was just an automated channel created and used by Google to routinely test YouTube's upload quality and to check that things were running smoothly. It all added up and seemed to be backed by some strong evidence. Not everyone was convinced by Paolo's detective work, though. Joseph Cannon shared his doubts on his blog, Cannon Fire, writing that Paolo thinks that all of this strange activity is coming from Google's headquarters in Zurich. His evidence, some of the very short videos show what appears to be the interior of, well, Google's headquarters in Zurich. Maybe, but the evidence for this part of Ventuno's argument seems slim, at least to my eyes. In his final paragraph, he questions, "So, are we dealing with spy stuff? I'm backing away from that idea now, but I still cannot dismiss the notion." The only true way to find closure for this case was to get confirmation from Google. A few people then tried reaching out to the company, including Stephen Beckett for the BBC and Brendan O'Connor for the Daily Dot, but Google didn't respond to these inquiries. The tech giant would soon publicly acknowledge Webdriver Torso, though, in another, more spectacular way. By late May, web surfers noticed that when Googling Webdriver Torso, the Google logo would change into a set of rectangles. Another Easter egg soon appeared on YouTube when searching for Webdriver Torso, where the result page would mimic the channel's aesthetic. This demonstrated that Google was at the very least aware of this online phenomenon, but they weren't necessarily saying that they were the ones behind it. There was another offbeat gag that garnered even more attention, though. On June 2nd, 2014, Webdriver Torso published another upload. It started off as just more of the same formulaic shapes, but then, halfway through the video, the audience gets rickrolled as the red rectangle is replaced by the dancing silhouette of singer Rick Astley. This amusing gesture was a bit shocking, as it was unlike anything the channel had done before. After tens of thousands of videos that seemed randomly generated or carelessly uploaded, here was one that offered unseen creative effort and self-awareness. Could this be Google teasing online detectives, hinting that they were on the right trail? Although several people had already fruitlessly attempted to reach out to Google for clarification, someone finally got the company to speak up, though the answer wasn't quite what anyone was expecting. Just a few days after the Rickroll video, Engadget published an article by James True that responded to Paolo's detective work and Google's Easter eggs. So, with a strong enough theory to suggest that these videos could have originated from Google directly, and a few official hat tips to the account, we decided to ask the video site directly for an official statement, and this is what we received. In their response, Google continued with the Rickroll meme, parodying Astley's lyrics with, "We're never gonna give you uploading that's slow or loses video quality, and we're never gonna let you down by playing YouTube in poor video quality. That's why we're always running tests like Webdriver Torso." While leaving some wiggle room for interpretation, this is widely agreed to be a humorous confession. The Engadget article also concludes that not only was Webdriver Torso just a tool for quality assurance, but all the other connected accounts were just different testing grounds for Google to experiment in as well. This made sense, given clues like the names YT Upload Test Partner and Timmy Tester, or the post that read Test Text for Social Network Message Box on Webdriver YPP's channel. Even David Boyle's YouTube channel had a video titled Monet Test. Of course, some questions still linger, like, was there any specific reason videos of Aqua Teen Hunger Force or the Eiffel Tower were posted? It's possible that these were involved in testing YouTube's detection of copyrighted material. Aqua Teen is obviously a copyrighted cartoon, and the Eiffel Tower has some restrictions as well. As stated on the Landmark's official website, the Eiffel Tower's lighting and sparkling lights are protected by copyright, so professional use of images of the Eiffel Tower at night require prior authorization and may be subject to a fee. It seems Webdriver Torso's upload shouldn't have been an issue since it wasn't for commercial use, but perhaps Google Zurich believed it was problematic. We can't say for sure since they've never seemed interested in divulging any details, but it's fairly inconsequential anyway. We've also never confirmed who Matei is, but despite any loose ends, the greater part of this mystery was laid to rest. The Webdriver Torso channel has since uploaded more videos, though things have significantly slowed down. Currently, the channel hasn't uploaded since November 2023, but they've taken long breaks before, so new videos may possibly return once again. Paolo was certainly thrilled to have been the one to really crack the case open, but it was a somewhat bittersweet victory. On his blog, he observed that mysteries are more sensational than their solutions. It is more sensational to hypothesize that these videos are of alien origin, or that they are a form of brainwashing by the Illuminati, or that they are coded messages from spies or hackers or so on, rather than admitting that in the end it is another initiative of Google. It's refreshing to see a case like this have a solution though, especially one that isn't another ARG. Unsolved mysteries like the chicken code are fun because the possibilities are exciting to imagine, but it's rewarding to finally follow the breadcrumbs to their destination. Sensational ending or not, there's something about these cases that thousands of people all over the world find exciting. As Paolo wrote, "In the end, in life you have to be passionate about something, right? There are those who like fishing. I'm interested in nonsense." This has been Oddstrosity. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, I designed some merch for you all, so please check the description for details. There's shirts, stickers, and all sorts of other spooky stuff. Join me next time as we once again reset what's expected.